Patrick Francie, Dominic Mandato, the heavy. I feel like I'm surrounded by heavy hitters, and not just like in size today, but I mean like in power. Like, welcome to the. I was gonna say welcome to the show. I do so many of these things. I feel like I'm hosting a show.
Yeah, you are a little bit. I'm a little envious because every time I do a Facebook Live, I'm still trying to, like, I'm 30 seconds before I even realize I'm live. So
Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks for having me here. This is exciting.
Very good. Dominic, you should know good news is Patrick, Patrick thinks very highly of you. I mean, he put on a shirt with a collar today for your interview. That's a big move forward. So thanks for being
here. Keep up.
I noticed you guys wearing ties too at the events, which is a nice look, a nice addition there, guys.
So you're gonna bring your tie for Acre Vancouver, right? No. Very cool. Well, listen, we have a lot to talk about in this Facebook Live. First of all, Acre Vancouver. I just did the math, Patrick. We're 9 days out. Like, it's phenomenal how fast this event has crept up on us. Yeah. Acre Edmonton was off the charts. Dominic did several segments there. I'm excited, Dominic, for you to be back at Acre Vancouver. And Acre Vancouver is poised to be one of the most phenomenal events we're going to host this year. So I'm really excited about that. And you've been moving, Dom. Like, we were talking about this offline as we get started. Like, you're hustling. You're out there. You're negotiating. You're doing a lot of deals. So give us a quick update on what's happening with Invest Plus.
Well, you know what? Yeah, we've been spending a lot of time. We've kind of been planting the seeds a lot throughout the beginning of the year, and then really the heart of where we are right now is the results of all the hard work that we put in during the summer. And we just secured about 1.6 million in financing and funds, and we have an acquisition here that we're just about to close on in the next 30 days. We have another 3 deals that we have under contract, and so this is probably the most we've seen in a long time. And it's funny when you go through these hard times, especially coming from Alberta. Is you either die with the recession or you rise up to the occasion, and we've looked at ways on how we can shift our business. We started that about 2 years ago, and we're heading in that direction. So we're pretty excited of where we are. We're going to grow the company by about 20 to 30% before the end of the year.
So there's what's really cool. So just to bring people up to speed in this particular conversation. So Invest Plus is a REIT, and what we really have seen over the past several months. I mean, we worked with Dominic for a long time in terms of having him on our stage, having him educate people in a number of in a number of topics around multifamily investing. But what we learned at Acre, particularly, and some previous events, is that in the world of investing in real estate right now, given mortgage rules, given the stress test, given some individuals with their availability of capital, understanding and knowing how a trust works actually opens up a door to way different possibilities for actually being able to park your investment capital and not having to have a large amount of it. You can get in, I think within, for example, within the Invest Plus model, is it 25 grand or?
Yes, 25,000. Yeah, the initial.
So you get to invest in real estate with a $25,000 entry point, which is kind of cool. I actually had Dave Steele yesterday. Him and I talked about where he thinks interest rates are going. So, for example, given what's going on globally, we see interest rates going down in the future. That's kind of been the overall prediction. You talked about Europe, where if you're putting money in the bank, guess what? You're paying them to keep your capital in the bank. Like, I don't even want to get into that, but that's unbelievable. Here's the point of this, is in the world of interest rates and putting money in the bank, that doesn't work. Where are you going to invest capital? And of course, we talk about real estate. And in your case, your expertise is in commercial buildings, multifamily buildings, the real estate investment trust, or other deals that you've got going on the side that actually, I don't want to say like a side deal, but outside of the trust, that actually are opportunities as well, because that's the game that you're playing and that you're in. So at Acre event, there's all sorts of things you're going to be educating around what a trust is. But here's the other thing that you just said, and this is that you're negotiating a lot of deals, which is really cool because you're good at it, and you're actually going to be talking at Acre in Vancouver about negotiating tactics.
And I had so much fun in Edmonton where we did our segment. I'm still paying for the time that we went over, by the way.
That was a lot of wine, man.
Really?
I know you guys are giving me a hard time with it.
Who are you paying for that?
But I saw the feedback. I saw the feedback from all the attendees, and I didn't see no one said anything about going over time. So I'm going to use that as fuel for the Vancouver show.
Well, that's great. And that's partially it's not partially, that's exactly what Acre is all about, which is the Acre Real Estate Investor Summer, which is, people that are in the trenches, Dominic, negotiating deals day in and day out. Dominic, we were just talking about how there's an acquisition, which I don't want to give too many details. The point is you're negotiating this 60 cents on the dollar roughly. And that's because of your negotiating skills. That's because of your negotiating tactics. And let me tell you, a lot of people think and believe, and it's very true in many ways, is you make money in real estate when you buy it, because if it's bought right, you make money right from day one. And that's the way it should be. You're going to be teaching those strategies at Acre, right?
Absolutely. Look, when you've been doing this for a long time, I mean, both of you have done, you've been in this business for such a long time, you should be able to make money in any cycle, especially when the market is where it is right now in Western Canada, and more specifically here in Alberta. So to me, this is a great time. If when the market is really hot, that's when you're going to notice Dominic be a little bit more depressed, more, sad because we can't find any deals. But usually this is a time where you can actually negotiate and, to a level where you can almost get everything that you want in that deal, and the sellers will gladly do a deal with you, as opposed to the other side of the coin when you're trying to get a deal done, and unless you get what they want, you're not getting that deal. So we're going to talk a lot about that, what strategies we can use. How do we get that information before we sit down and talk to someone and negotiate with someone, and whatever the market is. But if you're a good negotiator, and by the way, you could be a great negotiator, you're likely going to learn something. You might not know anything about negotiating or absolutely hate negotiating, and you're also going to learn something. So it's not about making sure that, I'm not going to turn you to an expert right away. I'm still not an expert. I've been doing it for a long time. But ultimately, all you need is 2 or 3 really good tactics to help you for that next deal or the next conversation to drive the behavior that you want them to behave.
Can I connect some dots, or JG, or do you want to go?
Well, I want you to connect some dots, Patrick, but I want to point out to everyone who's watching, because in Vancouver, in the BC area, specifically in Alberta, where it's tough times right now. We just had an election. There's a lot of emotions around this right now in terms of where the hell this is going. I just want to point out, and we got to keep hammering this home, is this is the time to be doing deals. This is the time to be on the offensive right now, where a lot of people don't feel that way. They're reserved. They are depressed. Dominic, they don't feel like there's any opportunity out there when really there's the land is wide open right now. So, but Patrick, please connect some dots.
I want to connect a couple of dots in this whole conversation, because right now in this conversation, although we're having an Acre in BC, there's always a number of individuals that come from Alberta to British Columbia, and there's also a number of individuals that attend these events, like our RAIN members and or guests that come to the room that are wanting to invest in Alberta. Now, here's part of what we have to connect the dots. Here's the dots. Number one, Jennifer Hunt's going to be talking about the research and what this election means to people. So Jennifer Hunt is also there to support this big conversation. The next dots are, what do we do? We're making, JG's doing a film. Okay, so video. So the point is this, is that we've got interest rates that are low, and there's a strong belief and argument that they're actually going to go lower. So that means people are going to be looking for places to park capital where they're going to get a return on the investment. Real estate in Calgary or in Alberta is really on sale because there's motivated vendors that need to get flush. They need to get out of deals and they need to pass those deals on. So there's a great buying opportunity. That's another part. So that means there's investment capital available to those individuals who can bring a deal together in that. And then there's one other dot I want to connect, because listeners weren't part of that, but you talked about some other bigger investors coming in. So if we follow the plot called follow the money, you talked about a couple of big players who sank 500 million into the Edmonton market, and another guy or another group who sunk 200 million into the Calgary market. And that's just a couple of examples that you gave, which is to say we as investors need to follow the money. So this is kind of a perfect storm. Depressed market, motivated vendors, interest rates going down. So people with capital are going, I can't keep this in the bank because I'm losing money by just strictly inflation. Doesn't feel that way in Alberta, but ultimately that's what's happening. And so we're trying to connect the dots as investors. And so that's what Acre is all about, is really connecting dots, having guys like Dominic on the stage who are in it, who are really in it, not the headlines, not the holy shit, the sky is falling, really in the trenches saying there is a methodology, there is a method to whatever madness you're feeling. Doesn't matter who our prime minister is or what the government's doing. There's opportunities there. That's my connecting the dots recap.
Dominic, what would you add to that, bud?
Well, you know what? I mean, you can talk politics all day long. And you know what? I'm going to pat myself on the back here for a second because, you know, listening to the polls and leading up to the elections, I already made a decision in my mind about 3 months ago saying there's going to be a liberal government. And just based on what I'm hearing, there's probably going to be a liberal government. How does that affect my decision? How does that affect what we're doing right now? What will change? And I've started to adjust as a result of that. So when elections actually happened, it was amazing to look around because in my mind, in my state of mind, I already knew that was going to happen. And if it wasn't, then it was likely going to be the Conservatives, which would have helped us anyways. But I adjusted in anticipation of that, right? And that's really what this business is all about. I mean, you mentioned it, Patrick. There's some large companies, True North, the fourth largest suite in Canada, just closing on 3 monster deals in downtown Calgary. What do they know? What do they know that you don't already know? Why would they be putting and sunking a whole bunch of investors' money into a market that is deemed to be, maybe not the best market right now? There's something to be said, but here's the reality is whatever we're buying is cash flowing. And that's what drives our business is cash flow. And as long as it's cash flowing today. At rock bottom prices, what does it mean when the market turns around? And right, this is what we're going to learn at Acre. This is what we teach about, right?
Well, and I think the real key word here is adjustment. You have to adjust your strategy. And Dom, you've been working on this for 2 years. I know we're in different businesses because you're in the industrial commercial space and I'm in the residential space. But 2 years ago, I keep telling the story about how I made adjustments to our portfolio and made adjustments to my buying strategy and made adjustments to my renovation strategy. I used to do lots of land development. I don't do that nearly as much. Actually, I just saw this breaking news. It looks like we just sold a piece of land that we bought 2 years ago that we were going to build on. We just doubled our money on it. So that's pretty cool.
That sucks. That's awesome.
Pretty cool. 2 years.
Only doubled. Only doubled.
I know.
I'm sure I would have done 4 times that.
Yeah.
You didn't negotiate well. You didn't negotiate well.
It was all about the negotiation.
But you got to adjust, right? Everyone has to adjust. And if you're doing business the same way today as you were last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you're going to end up getting hurt. You have to adjust and read and react to the situation. And that's what Acre provides. It provides you an opportunity to sit back, relax, take the worker hat off for a minute, and be surrounded with an amazing community and culture and environment of people doing the exact same thing as you, being amazing real estate investors and considering new perspectives and adjusting your strategy accordingly. I mean, I think that's super powerful.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, and I'm really excited about where we are right now. And to me, the fact that we've been in this market for so long, we were purchasing in 2017 and 2018 and this year. And then to see and hear these larger investors who are coming in, that makes me nervous because now that's going to become competition and that's going to put pressure on other markets, on other assets.
So you better hurry up and buy everything you can right now for 30 to 40 cents.
Okay, I'm going to go right now, all right? I'm going to excuse myself. I'm going to go do this right now.
Which is a perfect segue into we got to go. Here's the bottom line. If you're watching this, get registered for Acre. If you're living in Alberta, come to BC because it'll open your eyes to what's going on there. You can actually be a source for attracting capital because you're in Alberta, you're the boots on the ground expert, and you definitely want to be in the room if you can get there. You know, it's just an hour and 15-minute flight from anywhere really in Alberta. It's worth the trip. It's going to be a great event. If you're living in BC, it is going to be an outstanding event. Now, we changed it up in Edmonton. There's the traditional acre. This is really the Acre Investor Summit, and we learned even some more. So the fact that it was awesome in Edmonton, the feedback was over the top. What we're bringing to Vancouver is another level up from based on what we learned in Edmonton.
I'm not sure how it's going to get. I mean, I heard a lot at Acre, Edmonton, best acre in a long time. I heard a lot of those words, which is great. So we got to shoot for something else now. And I would say you shoot for keeping Dominic on time. But it sounds like that's not so important because we end up with bottles of wine and the guests.
Bottles of wine.
The way I see it, it's value of time. Everybody got value out of time, that's for sure.
Well, it was value of time.
But that's actually ultimately, that's just to end on this note, is that's the question right there, is how much is it a good return on time for you to go to an acre? And for me, it's a no-brainer, not only as one of the speakers, one of the hosts, but I've been to thousands of these events myself as the attendee, and you can literally not waste your time in these events. It is a guaranteed return on time. It's an amazing investment because the best investment, Patrick, is an investment in yourself.
In yourself. You are your biggest asset, and it's time to invest in your biggest asset. That's what these events are all about. Invest in yourself, and it will always turn out to be a great return on your investment of time.
Love it.
Thanks,
Excellent.
guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah.